Thanks for talking, Sammy.
No, thanks for having me in, Ham.
Life's got an extraordinary way of giving you perspective.
Yeah, it does. It unfortunately, I seem to keep coming into a new sort of level of I don't even know how to put it. A new level of the worst thing that sort of happened in my life. There's had obviously my old man pass away, then to the cancer, to my ACLs, then my cancer. It's I keep getting a dose of perspective that I'd prefer not to learn this way, to be honest.
So what stage did you realise they hadn't? Was that late last year? Were you thinking it was okay, or had there been signs?
Looking back now, there might have been signs. At the time, would never have noticed. Ongoing scans, so I got scans every 3 months to check how I was going. And I look back now, and when I was playing footy, I wasn't running out games as well as I had been in the past. My breathing, and I was finding more difficult. I was just assuming that part of footy, you start to decondition a little bit, and I wasn't running on top of the ground as I would have hoped. But looking back now, it's probably had a pretty bloody good reason why I wasn't being able to do that. So, but yeah, so that's the process, and that's the ongoing thing that I still have now. Is I still have to stay on top of it, keep going back to Peter Mac now and getting my scans and everything. So scans and bloods that gets checked off by my oncologist.
So 2020, you have the surgery. Then in August 2021, there's the second diagnosis. It was just a routine check.
Yeah, routine check, and then obviously came back that it had moved pretty significantly.
Spread?
Yeah, so it came back, went to my lymph nodes, which then ended up in my lungs and my stomach. So I didn't really see my scans for a long time until they showed me when I was actually getting my treatment, and I thought it was only a small amount that was going to be quickly treated. Turns out it was there was a lot in there. There's a lot of big white dots in my scans, which it was pretty scary in the end. I probably played it down a little bit in my own head, but ongoing, it was a significant thing to figure out, and even thinking back now, it was extremely hard. The two diagnoses were completely different in terms of my mindset. I laugh about it now, but the first one I got, when they said you had cancer, and I guarantee this is a lot of people's responses, I just thought I was going to die. That's legitimately the first thing that went into my head, and it's the first thing that I associated with cancer, probably through a lack of knowledge. It wasn't until I went and had the meeting with Damien Bolton that he said to me that this is all right, like you're going to be okay, and the survival rate of testicular cancer is extremely high, which at the time you don't really realise that, but the chaos of it all and the whirlwind of my first surgery was so much, whereas the second time was a lot more pragmatic of, all right, let's just get the treatment, like we know what we need to do. It's a testicular cancer, it's a treatable cancer, everything, but at the same time was far more nervous because it had obviously progressed a hell of a lot more than what we were all thinking it was going to do, and that was pretty scary because we had the knowledge at that time compared to the first time. So it's a tough thing to go through, and I know there's a lot of cancer survivors who'll be watching this that'll probably have that exact same feeling.
Imagine doing it without a loving, brilliant wife or partner.
Yeah, I don't reckon I'd be able to be honest. The last treatment, I was so lucky that she was at home because I needed almost full-time care. Most of my time at home was feeling sick, trying to sleep, or having no energy to do much at all. Plus, never hungry, didn't want to eat food, almost had to be told when to eat. Food in front of me for me to actually try and eat it, and half the time I couldn't eat it anyway. Plus the whole COVID situation, I was essentially alone apart from that. We had friends and family popping in outside the front door, but with COVID, my immune system, we couldn't really spend much time together. Whenever I saw anyone, I had to social distance. There's probably a story for later in the interview, but COVID stuff happening all around, isolation periods. It was bloody tough, and I was extremely lucky that I had Nat there to help me and bloody push me through, to be honest.
So when you were diagnosed for the second time, that was the first time you had to entertain and go through chemotherapy,
Yeah,
which is essentially putting poison into your system, which when they administer it, they're in suits that are protective because of the damage it can do to you, and you're just watching it go into your body.
yeah. I was, in a sense, the naive was good because I didn't know what was coming, and I didn't know how hard it was going to be. I had people tell me that it was tough, but I didn't really take it all in. I'm a bit like that. Things need to happen to me for me to sort of believe and understand it all. And the first time I went in there and they're coming in full gowns, protective clothes, gloves, the chemo, some of the drugs that they're in had to be in black sleeves because they couldn't be in ultraviolet light, and that's just getting pumped straight into your veins.
And you're watching it go into your system.
Yeah. So it's one of the things when you go in there, you get a PICC line put in. There's two options: PICC line, which my doctor chose so I could still play golf if I had enough energy, or they put like a button like up near your heart and it pumps it straight in. But essentially, it just hooks up. The bag is next to you. There's a machine that just pumps it in for hours on end.
You alone?
The first cycle, Nat was in every day from basically 8 till 9 for 5 days straight. And then second, third and fourth, COVID started to really kick in Melbourne, and rightfully so, lost visitation essentially. So no carers, no visitors, because obviously immunocompromised people in there, that if COVID came through the ward, it'd be pretty damaging. So yes, the cycles 2 and 3 were really, really tough.
Explain the cycle. So it was a 12-week program that you had to endure to get through to a point where the doctors were satisfied they'd given you enough poison to combat the cancer.
Yeah. So the program that I was on was 5 days. 5 days on. So there's basically
about 12, 13 hours.
Yeah, about 12 hours of hooked up to the drip, and then I had basically 2 weeks to recover. But so then that was the 3-week cycle. Then you did that 4 times.
Right.
And I was lucky enough that my last cycle it was going in the right direction, so we dropped off one of the drugs, which dropped it from about 12 hours on the drip to, I think it was about 6 or 7. So that was better, and I could go in and out, so I didn't have to stay in there the whole time. But by that stage, I was feeling so sick that my last cycle worth of eating was 2-minute noodles and Easy Mac. I just couldn't stomach anything. Soups was about as far as I could go, and it essentially just got progressively worse and worse and worse, and my health got worse and worse. Hair, energy, nausea and sickness. It was basically all day, every day for the last bit.
What did your weight go to at its lowest ebb?
I got down to 78 kilos, which is about 10 off where I should be.
And just weak and frail.
Yeah, I had nothing. I had no energy. I'd go for a 1 kilometre walk and would get tired. I just lost all my muscle. I looked very sick. Like I look back at photos now and I looked very, very sick.
Did you feel very, very sick? Were you scared you were going to die?
No, I wasn't scared that I was going to die. I felt extremely ill. And even part of I knew that I looked so bad is when I would catch up with people and they would try to act like I didn't look that bad, but I knew that I looked really, really bad.
How were you mentally? I mean, you've been through so much, but you have to continue to find a way to keep walking through hell.
Yeah. I really struggled. I can't really walk around that. Having to do it all, as I said, being naive was good because I thought it was bad the first week, and then I'd go in again, and then it would just get worse, and then everything. By the end of it, I said this to a few of the boys, I didn't even want to go in. By the last cycle, when I could go in and out, waking up in the morning was I just dreaded going in and hooking back up, because it was just as soon as the chemicals went in your system. It was just, you didn't feel like food. You felt the most sick you could ever feel. You felt like throwing up the whole day. You're trying to eat, but you can't eat because everything you put in your body just makes you feel even worse. But you know, if you don't eat, then that's even worse. So mentally, the alone feeling, not being able to have Nat in there, or anyone, family, friends, anyone, was extremely tough. Like, you think about spending, basically, because I couldn't sleep very much in terms of the drugs going in, I'd nap, but it's basically 18 hours a day sitting in a hospital by yourself, feeling too sick to look at your phone or watch TV. You're just by yourself with your own thoughts. It wasn't great. And I'd try and call people, and everyone would give you some words of encouragement of what you're doing is, you're going to be okay and everything, but that sense of alone was hard to shake.
What about your overall perspective now in life?
I'm a big believer that whatever happens to you in life, will change you and shape you. Has the opportunity to break you as well, but I always see everything that happens to me as a way to, I don't know, somewhat be better as a person. And I think the last sort of cancer in this last 6 months has taught me to be grateful. I know everyone throws that word around a fair bit these days, but be grateful for what you have. Sometimes, and everyone does it, you get stuck in a moment where you're always searching for something else. You're always searching for whether it's a new job or play better footy, whatever it is.
Something shinier.
Always something better. And I've always been caught in that trap as well, always setting goals and trying to get to something else. But this has taught me just to be a little bit more present, a little bit more grateful for the people around me, for what I get to do. Through this whole process, like my friends and my family have been unbelievable. Like I genuinely don't think I would have been able to get through the whole ordeal without them. From my mum to my brother to my really close group of friends, to my manager, wife, and then the footy club. Like, I've had to lean on a lot of people, and I said this to the boys basically when I got the diagnosis, when I told them all, is I'm going to need to lean on a lot of people, and inevitably I did. And every person to a man stood up when they had to and helped me, whether it was a conversation on the phone from someone that wouldn't even realise that they were helping me at all, to food being dropped at my door, to it was incredible. And then I know we're going to go into it, but like the people shaving their heads, I sat there crying in the hospital for about half a day, from the impact that other people that I don't even know, and they know me as a footballer, but they don't know me personally, a lot of these people, and they're shaving their heads in respect for my journey, and it's something that sort of sits with you. I got to see a really, I don't know whether it's humanised, I don't think that's the right word, but I got to see a really good part of the world and people. And I don't know, in today's age, it's hard to find sometimes, and to have that moment where so many people, and there was a broad community of AFL, Carlton, and everyone else around me, that everyone just sort of come together over something, was pretty incredible to be part of.
My gran always said something good comes out of everything, and the Do It for Doc campaign was just a wave of empathy, support, emotion, humanity just flooding towards you. Yeah,
and I don't know, part of me thinks that we sort of all needed it in a way. Been through a couple of tough years with COVID. I think everyone sort of needed something to connect to and have some, I know it wasn't joy that what I was going through, but some joy to see other people pitching in. It was, it's pretty incredible. And I don't know, the group at the club that sort of threw it all together, so all the boys that shaved their heads plus staff, the media team that pumped it all up, that it got so big. It went so far above anything that any of us thought it would do.
You were hoping for $5,000 or $10,000.
Yeah, Crip, myself, and Lil we were sort of. There's a bunch of them that wanted to do it anyway, and Crip was just like, "Why don't we just try and get some money and put it towards Peter Mac? That's where you're getting treated." So we set up the page. Lil set up the page, and it just I put in I put in 500, thinking, well,
get it rolling.
We'll get it rolling, and if no one else puts in, at least we'll sort of bump it up over between me, Lil, and Cripper. We might be able to sort of pump it up near $1,000, so that's where we'll get to start. And then it sort of took a legs of. I think we had 150,000 on the Friday in one day,
and it's finished closer to 220 or
220, yeah, in the end. And the thing that made me most proud is it wasn't people donating like $2,000 or $5,000, $10,000. It was like, I had messages on there of kids giving up their pocket money for the week, like $5. Didn't think I'd cry over this bit. Like $5. Kids just tagged me on Instagram, them shaving their heads. It's something pretty incredible to be part of. And unlucky or lucky enough, I got to be a huge part of that. It's something I'm pretty proud to be able to have, to give back to an organisation that pretty much got me through the hardest moment of my life.
At what stage did you meet Michael Voss through the 12-week program?
I think he said it was October 14 the other day, which would have been in between my cycles 3 and 4. So
almost your lowest ebb.
Yeah, well, I got a little bit worse with my last one, but by that stage I was down. My weight was down to high 70s.
I'd lost every hair on your body.
I'd lost all hair. Yeah, eyebrows, eyelashes, hair, nostril, everything was gone. I was as pale as someone that hadn't left the house for basically 4 months. So plus the overall sickness that you get from the drugs. So yeah, he saw me at a bad moment. That's when I basically started sort of trying to catch up with people again. Was through that period, and everyone had seen photos of me and they'd been following along, but then seeing me for the first time was pretty confronting. And that was the first time that we'd seen each other for almost 8-10 years. So,
and he and you spoke, and you said to him, "I'll be right for round 1."
Yeah, that's probably the competitor in me in a way. I feel like if you don't have the dream, you'll never get there. And I set out and knew that there was a timeline that I was hoping that I'd have enough time. And he asked me what my goal was, and my goal was to be there for round 1, and that was being genuinely honest. Whether I got there or not was another question. That's the timeline of it all was pretty stretched in the end, and it wasn't smooth sailing for sure. But I was lucky enough that I got a really good training block in at a really key point of the pre-season that I needed to get to, and even a little niggle in my calf before the start of the season was enough to play.
He didn't believe you. Did you believe you that you'd play round 1?
I've toyed over this a bit. Looking back now, I can't believe that I got there. But
you're in the middle of chemotherapy less than 6 months ago.
Yeah. I can't believe it now, but during the time of me trying to get back, there was no way I wasn't going to be there. Which, whether that's stupid or what, that was in my own head. There was no way I wasn't playing.
Whoever writes the scripts in sport often does a superb job. You get back for round 1 when people thought you'd never play football again. You kick a goal, and the Blues come from behind and beat the Tigers.
Yeah, they did a bloody good job of that one. I don't think it's all about me, and anyone that knows me would say that as well. But our group put in a lot of hard work. I know there's a bit of my story sort of lingering in the back line, in the background of it all, but our group did a lot of hard work over the off season, and that was a great reward for the work that we'd all put in together, and a reward for complete buy-in and unity with the group. And that was seen through a bit of my stuff. Yeah, we got a special group there. It's pretty tight together now through some experiences.
Well, it looks as connected as it's ever been, and your story is a huge part of that connection.
Yeah, and I think that's been a big part of it, in a way. Inadvertently, partly everyone just trying to help me, but it sort of brought us all very close together, and small part of a long journey with a fair few of the boys there.
Looking forward to Thursday night?
Yeah, I am. I did say half the battle was getting there, the other half's recovering from the game and getting ready for the next one. So, I'm looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to seeing what our group's going to do. A lot of belief in the way we're playing and what we're doing and what we're going to bring out there. And excited to attack the Dogs. Mightn't have any coaches, so might just be running around like the old days.
You've shown us so much. Thanks for talking today, and good luck with whatever lies ahead.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Well done.